Dystopia warning. Heads up, this is going to be a bit of an angry one today. Yeah, I know, practically unheard of from me, isn't it? I think you'd struggle to find anyone that's been immersed in politics for the last 3 years that's not absolutely riddled with rage. Or any person in Britain with an IQ in double digits. As you might be aware, there are 2 by-elections today, one in Tamworth, one in Mid-Beds. For those that aren't aware, a by-election is what happens when a sitting MP is forced to step down or chooses to resign. The by-election in Tamworth is taking place because the Tory MP that used to serve that constituency, I use that term loosely, was an absolute wrongcock. He was referred to as a pound shop Harvey Weinstein. The first allegations emerged against him in November 2017. The Conservative Party cleared him, of course, because it clearly states in the MP's Code of Conduct in the Conservative Party that it's a prerequisite that you must go around trying to touch everyone up. So obviously he was emboldened and carried on. Johnson was aware of the allegations against him, promoted him to a position of immense power, actually, before it all fell apart like wet cake. Now, the person that's running to replace him in Tamworth is a guy that my nan would refer to as an absolute shithouse. After it emerged this week, he posted pictures during the pandemic of a flowchart on his Facebook account, suggesting that parents who are struggling to feed their kids or are out of work should fuck off. At this time, many people were on furlough. Many people who were self-employed had no support at all from the government, yet he thought it was appropriate to post this. He played on those old common tropes, designed to demonise people that are out of work. Oh, they've got a £30 phone contract, or oh, they've got a Sky subscription. Yeah, because people who fall on hard times have those things before they lose their jobs, don't they? If this lot had it their way, people who are out of work would be sitting there on the floor like a recreation of Oliver, begging, saying, please sir, can I have some more, so a Tory can come along and punch them square in the face. Labour are a pretty strong favourite to take on the Conservatives in Tamworth, so hopefully there's no chance of that absolute prick getting anywhere near the seat of power. The other by-election is in Dean Doris's territory, Mid-Bedfordshire. Dean Doris, the human question mark, who stepped down because she didn't get a peerage, who many of her constituents hadn't seen for years because she was too busy fanning around on Talk TV, well, people were saying that it's too close to call. Too close to call. Now, I'm pretty disillusioned, as you know. That's what happens when you spend most of your adult life under a Conservative government that's stripped away all of your hopes, aspirations, dreams, and force you to live in a constant state of stress and survival. But I'd rather be disillusioned and willing to believe the illusion peddled by the Conservatives. People say, oh, don't shame Tory voters. Oh, if you shame them, it won't get them on side. Really? Well, I'm sorry, but if the last 13 years, particularly the last 5 years, hasn't opened their fucking eyes to the reality of what people are living through in Britain, nothing will. Explain to me why the hell I should be tolerant of people that are willing to vote for a racist party, a party that's gone fully fash. Why the hell should I tolerate the intolerant? They're not going to listen anyway, are they? They won't respond to fact or logic or reason, otherwise they wouldn't be voting Conservative. Okay, well, I've got a solution for you. If you don't want me to shame them for what they've done, let me make them explain it. Make them explain to their kids why they're happy to vote for a party that tanked the economy and caused them to lose their house. Make them explain to their granddaughter why they're willing to vote for the type of MP that wouldn't be trusted with her drink at a party. Make them explain to their granddaughter why they're voting for a party that won't even consider misogyny as a crime. Make them explain to their granddaughter why they're voting for a party that, on their watch, has only 1% of rapes that end in conviction and a police force that's riddled with people that are more likely to laugh about her in a WhatsApp than help her. Make them go to a food bank and explain to those queuing, feeling shameful, although the shame does not belong to them, it belongs to a government that's failed them. A pretty large chunk of the people on universal credit are in work, but no person, whether in work or not, should be forced to live without dignity. Make them visit the COVID bereaved and explain why they're voting for a party that, whilst their loved ones were dying on a ventilator or in care homes on their own, or whilst they watched their loved ones have funerals on Zoom, held so many parties at Downing Street that it became the most fined address in Britain. Many of the attendees of those parties at Downing Street went on to receive honours by Johnson, including Sean Bailey. Make them explain to an NHS worker, doctor, nurse, cleaner, any NHS worker whose colleagues died without adequate PPE because this government was too busy giving multi-million-pound contracts of taxpayers' money to their friends who had no experience in making PPE. A government who, after exercise sickness, refused and failed to to replenish the stockpiles to prepare for a pandemic. Make them explain to NHS workers who ended up with PTSD working round the clock to save our lives whilst they partied, and who they're refusing to give a living wage to, why you're voting Conservative. And finally, make them explain to the parents and the family and the friends of the person that was hit by a train on the stretch of track in Essex near my home last night why they're supporting a party that has absolutely decimated mental health funding to the point that it's non-existent and cut vital suicide prevention services. Explain it. Don't shame them. All right, make them explain it. Make them justify it. Make them try to explain and justify their political choice to those that have to fucking live with it. And if you cannot justify or explain why you do it, don't vote Conservative. After what this country has been put through for 13 years, I can't even believe that we're in a position where they're polling in double digits. I've not just lost faith in politics, in justice. I've lost faith in the people in my own country, and that's one of the worst things of all. This lot don't get elected on merit. They get elected by conning people. So if you still vote Conservative willingly, which camp do you fall into? The thick or the conned? Anyway, keep an eye on the news. This is going to be an interesting one, isn't it? And as ever, fuck the Tories.